Do you know when you get that like little weird tickle at the back of your throat that just kind of keeps evolving, and then that tickle is in your joints?
Wait, I cannot get sick. Do you want to postpone this? Because we're not even doing a proper intro right now.
Hi, I'm Brie, and this is my sister Jules. I'm an English teacher.
And now I'm about to go on vacation.
Countries and emojis. You are listening to the Boy Meets World podcast, where we uncork a new bottle of wine each week and talk about an episode of Boy Meets World. Cheers!
Cheers!
Ching! Sparkle, sparkle.
Ooh! We just had exact opposite reactions to that wine. You go first.
Okay. So, I know exactly what it tastes like. I'm ready. Have you guys ever had a really old bottle of perfume or cologne and it like collects dust and it's very like concentrated, like the color is almost like deep orange or yellow? That's what this tastes like. It tastes like old, concentrated, dusty perfume.
Are you insinuating that our listeners have taken sips of their grandparents' perfumes?
We were all curious little kids, weren't we?
You definitely ate a lot of things that weren't food. You used to eat chalk. I remember that.
Is this why my taste buds are so different from yours? Okay, tell us what you thought of the wine.
I liked it, actually. And I usually don't go for a Chardonnay, but I felt like that went down very smoothly. According to the website, it's a rich wine with creamy notes of vanilla bean, almond, and tropical fruit. Balanced acidity and savory toasted notes lead to a long, smooth finish, remembered for its touch of sweet vanilla. This part's my favorite. This wine goes well with creamy pastas, winter vegetables, and shamelessly binge watching your favorite TV show.
No way. It says that?
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
And I have to shout out, I love a good font because I work a lot with design, and I find the bread and butter font to be very satisfying. It catches my eye immediately.
There's no serif. Sans serif, but it's not Arial.
The bread and butter is very buttery to me, which I like. It's very good branding.
It's very Brooklyn warehouse restaurant that serves tapas and organic wines.
Oh, it's definitely in Gowanus. That's the font, Gowanus.
The font is Gowanus sans serif.
Sans Gowanus.
I am delirious from my sickness, so bear with me today. Thank you for describing the wine. What do you think of it? You like it? You said?
I do. I would totally drink this.
Okay.
Last thing I'll mention, it goes for about anywhere between $16 and $20.
Yeah. I'm excited to try an even cheaper wine that's like not baby scalp.
I will say the next time we record an episode, I think we'll be in person. So there is a wine store that I want to peruse that I think we can splurge on something really nice. Cool. They have fabulous wines at this place I'm thinking of in Nashville. Redacted. They don't know where I live. Remove it.
Redacted. Wait, they need to know, though. They need to know where you live. They need to know that I'm in New York and you're in Nashville. They're like, what? What? They're going to find you? Our two listeners?
You give me shit for my sweatshirt.
But imagine we have two listeners and one of them is like actually a crazy stalker. Like, what are the odds?
Why would you say that? Now they're coming.
They're coming. Oh, we have one listener who sends us a bouquet of bloody roses.
I just started watching Baby Reindeer. Don't fool me like this.
Okay. We are on season 1, episode 7. The title of this episode is Grandma Was a Rolling Stone. IMDb says Feeney's niece comes for a visit and Eric gets Morgan to help in asking her out. The kid's grandma comes for the weekend and she makes a promise to Cory, but he is disappointed when she leaves early and he misses out on the fishing trip with Sean and his dad. This reads like my students writing. Air date, November 12th, 1993. Written by Ed Decter, which is a fantastic name. Ed Decter. And John J. Strauss, also a very good name.
Okay, so different writers this time?
Totally new writers. We have not met these people before. What is happening? How many writers do they have? I don't get it. Directed by David Trainer, though. Viewers, 22 million. This is the highest number of viewers we've had so far. I feel like I keep saying that, but this is the highest. First impressions.
First impressions, I had a great time watching this episode. I thought it was one of the funniest that I've seen so far. There were a few times where I actually laughed out loud alone watching this.
Yeah, I laughed too. I felt like my first impressions are just that Eric is finding his character a little bit.
Yes,
which
I
was fun
got
to
a
see.
little taste of Eric from the future.
Okay. We start in Feeney's yard. We get a little throwback of the fence painting trick from Tom Sawyer. The way that I interpreted this was these new writers that have not written an episode yet, were like stuck on that episode or like had done a rewatch of the episodes up to this point, and like they had a bone to pick with the way that the fence painting scene went and the fact that it didn't actually do the thing that happens in Twain's book, which is that like Tom Sawyer tricks all the boys in the neighborhood into painting the fence for him by like acting like painting the fence is the greatest thing in the world, and he ends up having them pay him to paint the fence too. So Feeney tricks Cory and Sean into taking the snails off of his roses. He tells them that it's like going to be bait for their fishing trip, but Alan walks in and tells them no, that fish don't eat snail, so they've been duped. Okay, so we're in the living room now, and Morgan and Eric are doing this little charade. Morgan is introducing her brother Eric and helping him get girls. And Amy likes this idea. Amy's like, I think this is actually a great way for you guys to bond.
Yeah, it's weird to me.
Weird. Amy
Right?
is like she's almost like not interesting because she's so supportive and passive and like, oh yeah, whatever. Oh, you want this? Sure. Like she's so...
Yeah, we've yet to see her be firm in her discipline of her children.
Like, it's just whatever they want to do. She just is like, okay. And for a split second in this episode, I thought that Grandma was Amy's mom. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. that Amy's like that because her mom was like a Rolling Stone. But then I was like, oh, wait, that's Alan's mom. So, like, why the heck is Amy so passive? Like, she's just so enabling. Like, I keep thinking of gentle parenting, but it's not gentle parenting. She's just like... permissive. That's the word. She's very permissive.
She is very permissive. Yes.
Okay. So enter Grandma. Big audience applause. Did you know who this was?
Yeah, I totally. She was Blanche in The Golden Girls, which I didn't really watch, but I do know her iconic role.
I had never seen an episode of The Golden Girls from start to finish. And I did not know that it was Blanche. I had to like Google who this was. I was like, oh, Rue McClanahan. I know that name. And I recognized her face. And I was like, I think she's a Golden Girl. Okay, so talk about permissive. Like, Grandma shows up to basically spoil the children, right? Morgan's so... Oh, I'm sorry. This character. Not the girl, not the person, not the human. She's a child. Okay, I'm clarifying that. Morgan, the character, is so annoying. Like, talking about the writing on the page, okay? Like, Grandma picks her up, and together they go, where's my present?
I thought that was funny.
I just like I can't with like spoiled kids. It's not
you
funny
can't.
to me.
Yeah. You're like, discipline your kid. Yeah.
I am. I'm like, you're just so annoying. So Grandma got Morgan a shrunken head. And then Eric goes, Grandma, that's a cool bullwhip. What? What kind of a line is that? So Grandma does have like a whip, like a whip for a horse, like a whip rolled around in a, like, just to be clear, a whip. Rolled a whip. And she's got it on her shoulder. And Eric is like, not just like, wow, what's a whip doing around you? Or like, cool whip. He's like, wow, Grandma, cool bull whip. Like, you know that's a cool whip. I know. Cool whip. I thought the same exact thing. And Grandma says this really awkward line that I hate. I had the wagon master to go with it, but he slipped out of the cuffs in Juarez. So I was like, cool. So you got Eric a human being? Like, what? What? Weird line that would not fly today. Grandma got Alan dried cactus from Albuquerque, which is peyote coated.
Yeah, it is.
And then enter Cory, who's like, Grandma, I heard La Cucaracha from down the street. And Grandma gives him a Cal Ripken baseball card. Did you know who that was?
The name was so familiar, but I could not tell you who he is. Except that
Cool.
he's probably a baseball player.
Yeah, he's a baseball player. I had never heard of him because I don't care about sports ball. But he was a very famous baseball player, nicknamed the Iron Man.
Ooh.
He played his entire 21-season career in MLB for the Baltimore Orioles, hence why they were going to Baltimore in the episode.
Not the Baltimore Areolas.
How am I 33 years old and I've never heard that? That's hilarious. He compiled 3,184 hits, 431 home runs, and 1,695 runs batted during his career.
Okay, even I know that that's amazing.
Okay, because I was like, I mean, I think that sounds crazy, but also I don't really understand what like average numbers are. He won 2 Gold Glove Awards, and he was a 19-time All-Star.
Wow.
And he was twice named the American League MVP, Most Valuable Player.
Wow.
So
that's huge.
I know. He was a pretty insane player. And I don't know anything about baseball. And I'm like, I mean, this sounds pretty impressive. So Grandma got him the card and she's going to take him to Baltimore to get it signed. He's like, where'd you get it? And she's like, I got it for $7 at a swap meet. Do you know what a swap meet is?
I took it to mean that it's literally kind of like a I forget what you call them, but basically you show up with stuff and then you literally like can trade.
Yeah, I'm looking it up and it just seems like flea market type. Exactly.
Like very informal flea market.
Oh, and Grandma's taking Morgan to go shopping until she drops and Eric to an auto show where there are going to be quote unquote hot babes sitting on the hoods of the cars. And I was like, cool. So we're also just womanizing. We're just like dehumanizing people left and right in this episode. Cool. Also, we get Cory's line, which I think is his first time saying it. What are you, new?
You have no idea how hard I laughed. I had to pause the episode. I thought that was hysterical. I never heard that before. Like, what are you, new? Like, really think about that line. Really think about saying that to somebody. What are you, new?
Well, it makes me think of that audio that went viral where it's like, are you new here? Yeah. That is a really funny thing to say to people.
It's to come out of Cory's mouth. It's hysterical.
I know. Cory's so funny. Oh my God. At such a young age, he has such good delivery.
He does. He really does.
He's also extreme. He's like very confident in this episode. I don't know. There was something about him. All of his delivery was just fantastic.
But he's like that consistently. And I consistently see older Cory in him. Like he is very, his character is very consistent throughout.
Yeah.
Like he's one of those kids. And there are plenty of kids like this that are just basically like an old man in a kid's body.
Oh, we love you, Ben Savage. You are clearly brilliant too. It's like funny that he's playing this kid that's supposed to be like not so good in school because he's so, you can just tell. Like he's just so wise, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's also part of the whole thing, right? I mean, Mr. Feeney understands how smart he is, but he's a kid. He's like a kid who like doesn't have that as part of his priorities. So, you know, it's normal.
Also, I'm totally doing that thing where I'm like, I don't like this wine. Drinks all of the wine. It tastes like you know how they make perfume out of elephant pee?
Is this information that most people know? Because the way you said it made it seem like this is very common knowledge.
What are you, new?
Apparently, I've never heard about elephant pee turning into perfume. Why the hell is perfume $150?
Because they have to milk an elephant bladder. No, I'm just kidding. That's not how they do it.
I did not think this episode was going to go here.
I don't know why I'm laughing so hard. I can't stop laughing. Ooh, okay. Yeah. So it kind of tastes like that weird, that like pungent, like it's not bitter. It's not like there must be a term for this particular type of smell. That is the smell that very, very concentrated pee has, and that it shares with the smell of perfume. I'm sorry, what?
It's you describing all of this, and then in between sentences going. This reminds me of the ice cream guy. You know what I'm talking about? I know listeners know what I'm talking about. You know the video of the ice cream taster that went viral about 10 years ago?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Cover all 9,000 taste buds. Aerate
But I
it.
totally.
That's a 10.
Except that's a 4.
And going forward, we should rate wines that way with like the tongue test. How does it rate on our tongues?
It changes though. That's the thing about wine, right? Like that first sip is maybe like a 4, but then you keep drinking it and you're like, oh, it's like a 6 now, you know, because you coated your mouth.
Yeah, it goes down so easy. But you know what? Most Chardonnays do. They're very smooth, very buttery.
Yeah, maybe it's just Chardonnay. Maybe that's what it is. I got to go back to Simeon the Whale and see if I'm feeling the same thing from both of them, because then I'll be like, all right, I think it's just Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then we get a shot of the house, and then we're back in the living room, which I have said in the past is not my favorite thing. I like when we change locations, but hey. All right, so we're back in the living room.
We don't leave the house in this episode, do we?
We do. We go on the patio. We go in Feeney's yard.
Well, technically still the house, I would say.
You're right. We're in the house the whole time. We're not in school at all. So Cory is on the couch, enter Grandma and Eric. We get like random references to names that I didn't know a lot of things. I felt kind of dumb in this episode. Apparently Bernie Koppel and Jamie Farr were at the auto show. Who? Did you know those people?
No.
So Eric got an autograph from a Lamborghini girl. Cool. So she doesn't have a name. Dehumanization. And Cory, actually she does, because she signed it on his arm. And now I'm the asshole because I don't remember what the name was.
Whoa. Let's unpack
that. Cory thinks that's dumb. Good on you, Cory. And Cal Ripken is way cooler, and an autograph for him would be great. Listen, I actually agree, because Cal Ripken has done some cool things, and so his autograph is cool.
But it's also okay to be a Lamborghini girl, for the record.
So my notes just say a lot of names. Who the hell are these people? Grandma's pooped from chasing Morgan around dressing rooms, and she's pooped from chasing Eric away from them. Would not be something to write into an episode today. But she is not going to miss the baseball card signing with Cory tomorrow. And Cory puts his shoes on the table. Ew. Then we're in the kitchen, and Eric gets a slice of cold pizza out of the fridge. Double ew.
Oh, come on. It's so good.
Ew, it looks frozen. It looks white.
It did look very cold.
Ugh. Do you like cold pizza?
I don't mind it. I don't prefer it over hot pizza. But then again, I went to school in a place where the cold cheese slice was very popular.
You're not going to give us an explanation?
You're going to look at me and tell me that you don't know what I'm talking about? Cold cheese slice. Okay, cold cheese slice, my fellow listeners, is an iconic slice in upstate New York where some...
Now they know where you went to school. Ah! They're going to send bloody roses.
No, cold cheese slice is a fabulous concept for college students. Imagine this. It's 2 a.m., you're very drunk, but you're very hungry, and you want to get a slice before you go to bed. So you go to your local pizza shop. You get a fresh, hot, piping hot slice of cheese pizza. And you're so hungry that you just like immediately put it into your mouth, and then you burn the roof of your mouth because you didn't wait till it cooled down. So,
oh my God.
This pizza place invented the cold cheese slice. So
Oh my
how
God.
it works is they bake the pizza, comes out, it's piping hot, sprinkle cold shredded mozzarella on top, and then hand it to you. So you eat it and it's a hot slice, but the cheese on top is cold and it's extra cheese, and it is absolutely phenomenal.
I did not know that's where you were going with that. And that's a brilliant idea. I actually love it.
Yeah, it is brilliant.
I thought you were going to be like, they bake the pizza. They let it sit for about 3 hours. Then they serve it to you. You're too drunk to care. You eat it anyway. You've paid double. The end.
No.
Cool.
Highly recommend.
Feeny knocks at the back door and asks Eric, if one were to entertain a girl of your age, how would one go about doing so? Pause. Eric says, Mr. Feeney, are you dating a teenage girl? Sure sounds like it.
Sure sounds like it.
No, his niece is visiting. And Feeney is asking Eric, like, this was one of those things where I was like, writers, like, Feeney's smart. Like, did you forget that Feeney's smart? Like, I was like, is Feeney really not supposed to be aware that Eric is girl crazy and that his niece is very attractive? Or is he like doing the Feeney thing where he's like, I think my niece would actually have a lovely time hanging out with Eric. And I think that like it would be cute of them to actually like maybe have a date. And so I'm going to set this up a little bit. Like, what is happening here? Because Feeney was playing it kind of like he was legitimately like, I don't know what to do with her. What should I do? I'll ask Eric. Like, what?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I felt a little bit that way too, where it's like, okay, on paper it makes sense for him to like ask Eric because he's around the same age as her, but he's also not stupid. And
yeah,
I felt the same way. I thought that was a little bit weird. Yeah,
Feeney couldn't figure out that it would be fun to go to dinner and a movie, but also like that's a weirdly romantic thing.
Well, it makes sense that Eric would say that because like that's all he knows about women.
Yeah, fair.
Like that he's like freshly a teenager, you know, like that's what he thinks that women that age like, you
fair.
know.
And they do establish that that's his kind of perspective on it when he's like, well, I'll tell you what teenage girls do is they, and then he like lists, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he like lists things that girls have clearly done to him specifically, and like that's all of his knowledge of what teenage girls do.
Yeah.
So that is a fair assessment of the writing and the intention there. Eric says, don't mock what I am, which I liked. I'm going to use that. Now, Cory and Amy are in the kitchen, and Grandma isn't here to pick up Cory for his trip to Baltimore to get his Cal Ripken card signed. And Amy is deflecting hard. She is baking blueberry muffins, and she asks Cory to help her. Cory doesn't want to help her, but he ends up helping her. Eric comes in. He doesn't want to shower because he doesn't want to wash off the autograph of Lamborghini Girl on his arm. And this is where I wrote, we get glimpses of silly Eric when he sees Feeney's niece through the window. Because he's like in the middle of being like, I don't think about just girl. Oh my God, girl, right there. And then he ends up being like, Weasel, who is Morgan. He grabs Morgan from the living room. She is dressed just like Grandma was at the beginning of the episode, which is really cute.
Oh,
She's
I
wearing
didn't
clothes that Grandma bought her.
That's so
Yeah.
cute.
Sort of like the exact same outfit. So Grandma clearly took her to the stores that she likes to shop at.
I love that. That's a really nice touch. I like that a lot. It's subtle.
Right? So we go out to the patio now. Also, I wrote, why does Feeney's niece really look like his niece? Like, I felt like she could be his niece. I don't know. There was like a resemblance there. Eric tosses the bag of fertilizer to show off his strength.
God. No, not even that. What he did before that, and he picked it up, and his body positioning was pure comedy. I cackled. I thought that was hysterical. I can't describe the pose. I can only do it. He was like,
He was like an action figure holding a bag of fertilizer. And then when he like throws it like he's in a cartoon and he's like in the Olympics. And
he was like doing a shot put of
Yes.
Like whipping it around.
Totally. And he does this like weird noise, like
It was like a sound effect that he like sounded out a sound effect.
Yes, it was very iconic. And then Morgan comes out right at that moment after Eric has like put on this whole show, and she goes, "This is my brother Eric. He's very shy." Ha 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 ha. Morgan says Eric is taking her to the carnival, and Eric's like, "I never really said that." And then she's like, "Rebecca, do you want to come?" And he's like, "Oh yes, I did say that. Rebecca, do you want to come?" And Feeney's like, "The polite thing to do would be to invite me." Which would be the polite thing to do, so I kind of laughed. And then Eric was like, "Hey, would you like to come to the carnival with us?" And Feeney says he would rather have gum surgery, which I laughed at because
I thought of you.
need gum surgery. And I was like, damn it, it's going to hurt. We're back in the kitchen. Cory has been making muffins forever, it seems. Grandma isn't coming. Amy is the one to kind of sit Cory down and explain this to him. And I wrote Amy is amazing, but in like she's too amazing. Like, she's perfect. She has like no personal resentment for her mother-in-law. Everything is about Cory's perspective on his grandma, right? It struck me as a little bit, I don't want to say unrealistic, but just like not true to my experience, that Amy had no words to say about like, this is my mother-in-law. Here's been my experience with her. I've been really, disappointed too, but I love her and here's why. And like, it was very much about like Cory and him and his grandma. And like, I'm so sorry, bud, but like, she's just not coming. And I don't really have any more to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we definitely.
Alan eventually gets there.
Yeah, he gets there. And that's important because it's his mom, right? So.
Exactly. So she offers to take Sean and Cory bowling, but Sean is fishing with Alan. And that is how Cory realizes that he forgot about the fishing trip with his dad.
That's messed up.
And he's like, yeah.
That's messed up. And you know what else is messed up, in my opinion? Like, Cory jokingly gave Sean a hard time about like, oh, like you stole my dad. You went fishing with my dad. When like, I would be mad at Cory if I was Sean. I'd be like, you left me alone with your dad. I was supposed to hang out with you, with your dad, and you didn't show up. I would be traumatized.
You're so right. Just like hanging out with your friend's dad. Just like, oh man.
Especially at that age, I'm like, we had nothing in common, man.
But apparently he ate a lot of good food because he ate everything except the worms.
Yeah.
But he usually likes those. Cory goes, but he usually likes the worms. See, we're getting the silliness.
It's so silly and like, it's throwaway, but it's also just like, it's also so like funny because it's like funny that Cory knows that about his friend.
It's also like not crazy to think that Sean would like the worms, but it's also kind of sad because Sean probably struggles with food insecurity sometimes.
Yeah,
so it's
true. Maybe that's the start because we at this point in time don't really know how his family life, so we don't really know that he's actually very poor. But
well, we don't know that.
No, we don't know that. Yeah, we weren't. Oh. Yeah, we don't know anything about Sean except he has a sister.
So right. And his mom is around because Mrs. Hunter is the one that Cory talks to on the phone.
Yes, yeah.
Fun fact, Sean was a little bit of an inspiration for my character in my book that I wrote. Coming soon. So we're on the patio. Eric, Rebecca, Feeney's niece, and Morgan are back from the carnival. Morgan is milking it. Eric is such a good-looking boy, she says, with his sunglasses on that she has essentially stolen from him through manipulation tactics. Rebecca loves Morgan so much, cannot get enough of how cute she is, even though I think she's annoying. Eric and Rebecca kiss. Is this the first kiss we see from Eric?
I think so. I think it is.
Yeah. Because he had that girlfriend that he went to the concert with, but I think when they were like about to lean in, that's when Alan was like, not that cool.
Yeah.
And they didn't end up kissing. How could they just like toss Topanga aside like this? We haven't seen her. She's gone.
It's like, it's like the writers have not committed to her as a main character yet. And I want to know, I do not remember if she comes back at all in the rest of the series, this season. I imagine she does, because I do remember her being in episodes at this age, like very, very young. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I really thought she was in it since day one.
Did you notice, by the way, when they kissed, someone like in the audience did like a purr, like a cat with like a tongue roll.
You can't tongue roll either.
I can't do it the way they did it with like a guttural like.
Wait, one more time. I didn't hear it.
Can you do it?
No, I can't roll my R's because my tongue is tied.
My tongue is tied, guys. Yeah. She has a tied tongue. She can't stick her tongue out.
Yeah, my tongue goes about maybe a centimeter or two out of my mouth.
It's so cute. It just looks like she's like sticking her tongue out just a little bit, and like you think like, oh, just stick your tongue out more, and she's like, no, this is as far as it goes, but it's like a little bunny rabbit. Just
Yeah, that's it. It's literally like there's a knot on the bottom of my tongue that literally prevents me from putting my tongue out any further. And this could have been fixed as a kid, but it just never happened. So I have a small tongue. That's a fun fact about me.
And we're not gonna make it weird. Sean says to Eric, the lip master.
We're in a mood in this episode. I just needed to address the purity of that P pronunciation.
Because I wanted to emphasize how dumb that is. That's the dumbest thing to say.
I'm sorry, that just like tickled my ears in the most perfect way. Lip. I can't even what to say. That was so good.
Oh my god, I want this to be our first episode because maybe people will listen to us if we're this silly all the time.
No, this is a treat for like the people that like, are locked in,
stuck around.
Yeah, this is a treat.
Welcome to the reality of our relationship. This is mostly what it is.
We worked out the kinks. Now I'm very comfortable on the mic.
I just needed to be a little bit sick and a little bit full of perfume wine.
I am. Yeah, the Chardonnay is getting to me a little bit for sure.
Yeah. 13.5% alcohol, by the way. Is that high?
I have no idea. Is it? Let's see.
You just hear me pouring another.
Is that high?
That was a very Karen Walker moment.
Which, by the way, I just rewatched the last Sex in Brooklyn episode like 2 days ago.
Wait, can you hear? That's my neighbor. Oh my god. She's okay. She's okay.
Loud.
She cries all the time, guys. It's a lot. Hold on. She's okay. Anyway, continue.
Sorry, I thought you got up because you were concerned and you were going to go check on her, but then instead you closed the door. You're like, shut the fuck up.
No, because it's so normal. She's okay. Anyway, continue.
Okay, I'm looking up the average alcohol content in wine, and it's so broad. It's as low as 5.5% and up to 25%.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
25%.
Yeah, but it says
like
average is like 18. So like we're well under, so we're just lightweights apparently.
Okay. Someone purrs like a cat in the audience. Ew. Sean says Eric the lip master, and I wrote TF LOL. Rebecca is smooth. I also wrote she's so like
she is. I was very jealous. Like I to this day am not smooth with the men.
Smooth.
I wish I was. That is a quality I wish I had. But she, at her young age, is so confident and so smooth. I love that. I wish I had more of that in me.
Also, I want to know how old she like actually was in this episode because she looks old, but it could be her hair, which is ding 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 my fashion moment. My fashion moment is her hair.
Yeah,
it's just her hair.
It's fabulous.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And like as someone with big hair, I'm always just in awe when people wear it big and it's beautiful and they rock it.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's just, it's like curly. It's got these like corkscrew curls, but then it's also got this like bushy volume to it, but she owns it. And like there are these highlights and it's kind of sun-kissed brown with like some blonde highlights in it. And it just like, she looks like a supermodel. She is beautiful. And she's also just like suave and cool and loves Morgan and is sweet and like clearly, I don't know, she's just great.
Yeah.
We're in the kitchen. It is covered with muffins. There are muffins on every single surface of the kitchen. Pause, Cory. I can highly recommend the muffins. Alan takes a muffin. It's a little dry. Cory, I cook and I slave all day, and this is the thanks I get. So then we get the moment we were referring to before about Alan explaining his mother and growing up with his mother. And it was, I don't know, I want to know what you thought of the story. So basically he explains that his mother, you know, forgot to sign a permission slip for him to go to something. What was it again? A field trip.
Yeah.
At Cape Canaveral, everyone was watching on their TV sets, but he was actually at Cape Canaveral, and he said that his mother took him to see it live, and he felt the heat of the rocket on his face. And he had this really beautiful line where he says, when all of America was looking at TV sets, my mother was looking at me.
Watching her patterns throughout this episode and then her son talking about his relationship to her, all I could think of was like the concept of love bombing. And to be honest, like I don't know a lot of people in my life who have this quality of like not being very present for most of my life, but then suddenly very present and like very in it and like basically trying to make up for lost time in some way.
Yeah.
And in effect, like love bombing you, where it's like, I love you so much. Like I'm going to like give you all these gifts and we're going to do all these things. And I think that's like a really interesting quality in people.
I was just like ADHD. Like that's what I thought. I was like, wow, she has ADHD. But like it seems like an ADHD of love or like a bipolarness of love or something.
I don't know
it's like
either.
you lose attention for the person that you love, but then when you have it, you're like,
yeah,
I have been neglecting them and I have to like give it all to them.
I was thinking, obviously, like that can be problematic for people that experience that because it's like people who don't understand why this person in their life does that, especially like an important figure, like a parent in their life, they constantly want their attention. And so when they don't get it, it's like tragic. But when they do, it's like overwhelmingly good.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the type of trauma that causes. And this particular episode reminded me of the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will's dad comes back, and I think it's the first time that we see him, and he's suddenly very interested in Will and his life, and he like proposes that they like go on a trip together, and Will obviously is all for it. He's like, oh my god, my dad is here and is paying attention to me and wants to spend time with me, and Uncle Phil is very cautious about the situation, and on the side is like he doesn't know how to handle it because he understands that Will's dad will flee and not be there for him in the way that he needs, and that causes a rift between Will and Uncle Phil. And Will obviously is like, you don't know what you're talking about, like it's my dad, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And in the end, the dad leaves and Will's heartbroken. It's
oh my
one of
god,
the best
I'm
episodes.
getting emotional.
It's one of the best episodes of a sitcom ever. But it reminds me of that, of like there's such trauma that comes with that sort of personality of like you're there and you're all in, and then suddenly you're not, and it's like you get the wind knocked out of you.
I think the hardest thing is like you want to be like asshole, like you just want to be like what a jerk, but then they do something so thoughtful, like the Cape Canaveral thing, and you're like, okay, so you're not a bad person though, and that's what makes it even harder because you don't want to just cut them out of your life because then you might miss out on all those highs, you know?
That's why I was hoping to get a little bit more out of Alan in this episode, because I'm like, I can't imagine what sort of trauma that is for him as his mom, you know? It's different. If it's your grandparent, it's a little bit different, but like something as important as a parent, like that's huge.
And it's wonderful that Alan isn't like that with his kids at all.
And that could be very important, that he is not like that with his kids because of his mom. He's like, I'm going to be there with my kids all the time. And that's been a pretty recurring theme so far of like, I want to take my son on a fishing trip. I'm, spending time with him. The episode with the grocery store with all the issues where he just wanted to spend time with his son. He didn't have that growing up. And he say that in the last episode or the one before that? He's like, I had a parent like the one you think you want, but I'm the one that you got, or something like that. Something like that.
Yep.
I'm like, Alan's very aware of his upbringing, and he is making changes to be better.
Yeah, because you're right. Like if he had that mom as his mom, he probably could do whatever he wanted to do. Because she was the Rolling Stone. He just wanted her to be around. Maybe even be a little bit more disciplinary, which is how I kind of feel. Wow, wait. Oh my God. So you know how people kind of marry people a little bit like their parents? Like I do see similarities between Amy and his mom. Amy is a much more put together version of his mom, but she is very permissive. And I find that really interesting that he's with someone that is, right?
Yeah.
Because when I first started watching this episode, I did think that she was Amy's mother.
Okay.
Freud.
Interesting. Ooh.
All right, writers, we see you. So Cory is very benevolent in this episode. He is very sweet with his grandmother. He never really ever gets like actually upset with her. And he loves her for who she is, which I found interesting. I almost felt like it was the writers maybe having their own trauma with somebody in their life who's like this, and they needed to like wrap up their own feelings about it, and they've come around to accepting that person. And so Cory was the vessel through which they expressed their acceptance of that person. Grandma enters. Alan says to her, "You'll never change, will you?" And Grandma just says, "Would you want me to?" Cory tells Grandma that the signature on the card, the autograph from Carl Ripken would have ruined it. Kind of like the way that the Lamborghini girl's autograph ruined Eric's arm. So he, again, quickly kind of forgives her. Enter Eric. Eric has snuck into Feeney's house to be with Rebecca, and he needs people to cover for him. And everyone just does. Everyone covers for Eric, which, again, I was like, are there no boundaries? Is there no discipline in this household?
No.
Poor Feeney. Can you imagine? Oh my God, I felt for Feeney in this episode because as a teacher, I was like, can you imagine, like, you're at school, you discipline these children, and then you just want to go home and you want to be at peace, and you don't want to have kids around anymore. Like, you did it all at work and you want to just be, and then you got to like raise the kids next door because their parents are just letting them do whatever they want.
Oh my God, you would not take that well if that was you.
I could not take it. Oh. So Grandma and Feeney get into a little bit of a tiff. Grandma threatens to run over Feeney's precious flowers, which at the beginning of the episode were being cleared of snails by Sean and Cory. So we know he loves them and he cares for them very much. And Feeney says, "Who is that woman?" Cory says, "My grandma. Don't you love her?" And Feeney says, "No, I don't." End of episode. And then we get the button on the episode, which is Sean and Cory in the bedroom. And so we do get a different scene. Yay. And they're looking at the Cal Ripken card. Sean's admiring it. Cory says, "Yeah, my grandma paid $7 at a swap meet for it." And Sean says, "No, like, this is worth $150, kind of implying like your grandma might have lied to you to make you feel not so bad about the fact that she spent a lot of money on this card. And Cory's like, she might have shot a man in Reno just to watch him die then? Because when she originally presented the card, she said, he said, "How'd you get this?" And she said, "I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. Ha ha ha, joke, joke, joke. Actually, I bought it at a swap meet." So he was like, wait, if she didn't buy it at the swap meet, was she serious about killing a man in Reno?
He was like so convincing. He was just like,
cute. Oh, I love kids and their innocence. Sweetest thing ever. Well, that's the episode. Takeaways?
I think my main takeaway is how interesting the dynamics of parent-child relationships are. And we've been seeing it obviously mostly through the eyes of Cory over the last couple episodes, and now it's like interesting to get the dynamic of Alan and his mom, and then his mom and Cory. And I think the idea of having that type of personality in your life and how you manage that, how you cope, how you deal with that is fascinating. And I think important, because I think a lot of people can relate to that sort of relationship.
I think my takeaway was ultimately, you know, we all have to come to a point in our lives where we accept the people we love in our lives for who they are. If you want someone in your life and they've shown you enough of who they are, and you know that like they're not going to change, you have to make a decision like to just accept them for who they are and learn to just love them for that, you know, for all of them, or cut them out, you know, make a decision. But to let yourself get flung around by the roller coaster of that person, it's not sustainable, and it's not healthy for you.
It's not healthy for you, and it also may not be healthy in general to try to like change somebody.
Right. It's not, I mean, I don't think it's possible to change somebody, but that's me.
Yeah. So it's a matter of aligning yourself with people that you can get along with, or that you feel that like that relationship is worth keeping for whatever reason or reasons.
Yeah. I think, you know, everything in life is about finding a balance between things and finding a way to kind of sit in the middle of this like spectrum. And
100%. I don't think that we as humans talk about that enough, is that everything is a spectrum. Everything we experience, everything we think is a spectrum. Nothing is black and white ever.
Totally. So like with people that are kind of toxic, right? Like you can just completely give up, relinquish what you need, and just say, I'm going to love them for who they are, and I'm going to let them kind of throw me around and abuse me because I know that they love me and this is the way that they show it. Or you can do the opposite and say, I know how I need to be loved, and this person doesn't love me the way I need to be loved, and so I'm going to cut them out completely, and I need to do this for me. Right.
Yeah. And it's not about ultimately changing them to
finding a balance between the two is where you need to be. Right. Like you need to accept that they are who they are and that they love you. They do love you. It's just not the way that you need love. Right?
Correct.
And so you need to kind of find a way to sit with that. Right.
1,000%.
It's difficult.
1,000%. That's such a hard lesson to learn. But yes,
it's hard.
Because you kind of grow up thinking that like, well, if somebody loves me and I love them, like then there's nothing wrong. Everything's fine. Like we love each other. It's all good. But it's not that simple. It never is.
It's not that simple. Okay. If you liked what you heard, rate and review. 5 stars only. Anything less than that, go away. Follow us on Instagram at Boy Meets World Podcast. The name of the wine we had today is
Bread and Butter Chardonnay 2021.
I don't know if we said that. Did we say that?
We did not say that. Thank you for saying that.
Napa. Theme song credit to Julia Rosa. Next week's episode is called Teacher's Bet, and Feeney makes a bet with Cory to teach his class for a week. If more students pass, Cory wins, and if more students fail, Feeney wins. Thank y'all for listening. Tune in next week for the next episode, and bye.